Welcome everyone to our latest in a series of Delft webinars. Today's topic, we are focusing on career opportunities in quantum. And it's my pleasure today to welcome our first guest, Araceli Venegas-Gomez. She is the founder and CEO of Kureka and the leader of Working Group 3 Education for the European Quantum Industry Consortium as well. So, hopefully, Araceli, here she is. Thank you for joining us all the way from sunny Scotland, and the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Great. So I guess everything works fine. You can see the presentation. Thanks a lot, Julia and Dan, for the kind invitation to be here today. It's a good opportunity always to talk about careers in quantum technologies and education in general in this emerging field. Yeah, thanks also for the intro. I'm going to tell you a little bit what we are doing at Kureka, but here what I want is to give this kind of overview that you start thinking about career opportunities and the quantum ecosystem in general. When we think about any emerging technology, any emerging ecosystem, you have the academia, you have the scientists doing science. That science will be transformed into a new industry, but you also have the industry that needs to use that science. Think about the government and the people who are putting the money into the science, and also the general public, people who are reading the newspapers, the news, and they here and there, they see quantum. It's important that the whole ecosystem understands this new emerging technology, because emerging technology is going to affect all of us, all society. When we think about quantum, well, quantum is different because it's based on quantum mechanics. And when you mention quantum, I think there are kind of two reactions. Either, wow, that is really cool, or that sounds scary. But the truth is that when we talk about quantum technologies, we need to mention that this is based on quantum mechanics. And this new emerging ecosystem of quantum technologies, when we think about anyone that is a newcomer to this ecosystem, needs to understand, not in detail, but a little bit, what quantum means. That's why we need to think about education in the quantum ecosystem. Not only the education of the people who are now entering this ecosystem, but the people who will be part of the ecosystem in the future. So if we think about the different education levels in any system in any country, this is taken from the US, but in any country you have more or less similar system. You have kindergarten or nursery, then you have primary school, you have high school, and then you have colleges, universities at different levels. So if we think about the first levels, primary schools, high school children, the only way that you can actually explain some concepts that are quite difficult to grasp is when you do outreach. You need to use some funny stories and funny tools for them to understand these concepts. Of course, if you are then going to high school, in order to teach quantum, you need to teach the teachers, because you can go to high schools and teach quantum, but at one point, the teachers need to understand quantum to teach to the pupils. And then if we go to the levels at university, of course, so far, most of the people who were part of quantum, they were studying physics. But now we have more and more master's programs in the whole world that they are focusing on quantum technologies. And these are more for engineers and people with other backgrounds in order for them to pivot into quantum. And then, of course, we have PhDs and other doctorate trainings. Now, if anyone is a newcomer to quantum, there are so many resources around the world right now if you want to learn about quantum. The resources are there. I think sometimes what is really tricky is to find them. Where to find resources? Every week, somebody's coming to me and say, I want to start with quantum. Where can I find information about PhDs in quantum? Where can I find information about how to use this particular tool? So this is just an overview of several resources. It's not exhaustive. It's not all what is out there, but enough that you can start thinking, where can I find an online course, or are interested in games to learn quantum, or events. So you probably are familiar with some of these resources. Now, as Dan mentioned, I'm now the founder of Kureka, Quantum Resources and Careers. When we think about these education levels, we really focus in the last layer of all. So just people that are about to enter the job market. Are they ready to have a job in quantum, or do they need further education, further training? And that's really what we are trying to do. So Kureka means quantum resources and careers, and we really want quantum to be a common language for everyone. We want everyone to be ready for quantum and create value. We want quantum to have an impact in individuals' lives, but also in businesses. So what we do, we have what we call a skills platform with training and resourcing. So that means that we train individuals, we train businesses, we make them part of this quantum workforce. And at the same time, we build this workforce by placing these individuals into jobs and helping companies to look for those individuals. That's how we work. And well, the expertise is really that we understand the ecosystem and that we really want to support individuals looking for this new career in quantum and support employers at the same time. That's why this skills platform works together. We offer different kind of services and resources. This is just a little bit for you to understand. So on education, we have a platform for online courses. We also develop specific tailored packages for industry. These are just some of the courses that you can find. For recruitment, we offer recruitment as a service, but we organize career events. We provide support for free for anyone that would like support on how to improve their CV, for example. We do this as a career development support. We offer professional services for companies, and we organize events for community building and focusing on developing quantum in some specific regions, such as Latin America with Quantum Latino and Quantum Eastern Europe. These events are coming up in May and June, so if you want more information, just drop me an email after. So the quantum workforce has been a very hot topic in the last 1 year and a half. It has been everywhere, where you can hear companies saying, I need to hire, but I cannot find the people. Or, yeah, we are developing a new master, but this takes time. So there is a talent shortage. There is already a bottleneck when individuals are looking for jobs, but these individuals are not ready to be part of the workforce, and companies are looking for individuals, but those individuals don't exist. We have estimated the job market for quantum in the next 20 years, and it's going to be exponential. So we actually, like a month ago, we reviewed this. This was for a couple of years ago, and it's going to be even more sharp. It's going to grow steadily, but then at one point, it's going to be really it's going to jump a lot. Why? Because at one point, we will actually have quantum computers, and we will need a lot of people to use them. We need to train now people for the job market now, but we also need to train and educate people of the job market of the future in 20 years. And again, those people are going to be now in primary school and high school. So then you can, if you think about these layers that I mentioned before, how important is that each of these layers that we support education in quantum if we want to be ready for the job market. But right now, what is important is that there are companies everywhere. This is a distribution of startups, so not end users, but quantum companies all over the world. And that's really is global. So there are opportunities literally everywhere. More in detail, here you have a distribution per country. I don't want you to go in detail now, but again, the message is there are companies everywhere, which is really important because it's telling you that there is a clear opportunity if you're looking for a job in quantum. Of course, the activities of the companies vary, but there is a huge amount of companies that focus somehow in quantum computing, either hardware, software, end-to-end, different solutions. But then we have quantum sensing, we have quantum communication, and we have what we call enabling technologies or facilitating technologies. Laser companies, for example. So if you have a background in photonics or optics, you can work in quantum if you work for a laser company that actually is developing something for quantum technologies. So don't think if you are looking for a job in quantum that you need to go just to a quantum startup. But there are I think there is really a vast range of opportunities. Sometimes it's where to find those opportunities. And the question is, what are the skills that you need to be part of that quantum industry? I think until 2 years ago or so, it was like you need a PhD in physics. That's the only way. But this is starting to change. We see more and more skills in the job descriptions where you don't need to be actually a person with a PhD in physics. If you look at this, if you have coding skills, laboratory experience somehow, or if you coming from computer science, electronics engineer, or even mechanical engineer or chemistry, you can get a job in quantum. It's just about what are your skills? What else do you need to be ready for that job? So either you're not coming for quantum and then you add a little bit of quantum and then you are ready for a job in the industry, or you're coming for quantum and you're ready already, or you need also some additional, because sometimes I feel that some people are coming from quantum so specialized in something that they need to add some other skills. And at the end, what we are creating is a new field that is going to be quantum engineering. So that's the new role. In software, in hardware, different kind of engineering roles that you could imagine for quantum. This is the new emerging market. And also, last but not least, is about the soft skills. It's not just about your technical skills. It's not just about the list of publications that you have. It's really about what are the skills can you add to your CV that are going to make a difference. When somebody's coming, you have two candidates with the same CV, and one can show that has been doing a course in business or had being in an internship in industry, or even just doing outreach events. All these additional skills are going to make a difference in the CV when you're looking for a job. And I think that's pretty much what I wanted to say today. But last but not least, we are talking here about careers in quantum because the truth is that companies are recruiting. We have a lot of startups around the world. You saw before, everywhere. And more than half of those startups are recruiting at the moment. So there are opportunities. Are you ready to find that job in quantum, or are you the ideal candidate for a job in quantum? That's the question. And I'm happy to discuss more about that. That's all. Thanks very much.
Thanks very much, Araceli. That was great. There's lots of great points there. And one thing I noticed, we attended the APS, American Physical Society March meeting in March in Chicago, and we went with a recruitment drive on behalf of the whole Quantum Delta ecosystem. We promoted the job board, and we were obviously targeting talent. And something that really struck me there, and it struck me by your graph, is that this really is a long-term play. It's important to develop these skills over time because the industry will evolve, as you say, and it will really take off at some point. But obviously, we're not going to hire a first-year PhD student anytime soon. We want them to finish their studies, but also make sure that they're getting the right diverse skill set as well. Because being an engineer is a very broad spectrum, and there's a lot of skill sets involved there.
Correct.
That reminds me. Sorry. Everyone listening, if you have any questions for Araceli or any of our other speakers later, you can put them in the chat function in YouTube, and then we can bring them in here and discuss them. I will take first opportunity to ask a question. We obviously met recently about the event that you hosted with the Quantum Insider, the careers in quantum technology. I was wondering if you could give us a little bit more insight into how those events work and how effective. Obviously, it was a virtual event, and they're very powerful in terms of international connections. People can join from anywhere in the world and watch an event. And I'm curious how that went.
Thanks, Dan, for the question. So yeah, that was so 3 years ago. We started with the idea of creating something in that direction, and we had the first event focusing on the UK, but at the end, because of the pandemic, everything is virtual, everything is global. So at the end, we always did kind of global. The idea is that you have a platform, an opportunity for individuals looking for jobs to relax and sit down and talk to companies that otherwise maybe they won't do it. Because if you do it in person, some people will be shy or scared to talk to companies directly. If you are doing it just when you have the interview, of course, you're going to be nervous, because if you really want the job, you're going to be nervous already doing the interview. This is really an opportunity for you to talk to companies without being nervous because you're in person or being nervous because it's the interview. It's an opportunity for those individuals to discuss with the companies. Do you think that I can get a job in your company? What are you looking for? And so far, it has been really, really well received by individuals and also by companies. So the companies are telling us, yeah, we want to continue doing this. Why? Because it's also for them an opportunity to assess individuals, they just spend a couple of hours and they have the chance to assess hundreds or even 1,000 individuals that they are coming to your booth, that they are talking to you. And that's really the value, is I have access to the talent pool that is already scarce, that is very hard. And there is really this opportunity that we are building. So far it has been going quite well. We want to continue doing it. And we want also awareness for individuals, so sometimes companies that are not the one that they see everywhere. So sometimes they don't think about, oh, that's actually a very nice company. Why not? I could join them, or things like that, or even positions. So yeah, that's a little bit how it went.
Nice. And do you see any of those events having a physical aspect as well? Obviously, you then lose the international aspect when it's online and the ease of access, but obviously there's something about a physical meeting that you can't replace virtually. So I was just wondering if you have plans there.
That's a good point, because we realized this year that things are starting to shift a bit in the other direction. And you saw, I mentioned Quantum Latino, Quantum Eastern Europe. The value of those platforms, or of those events, is really that you can connect people that are in Serbia and in Lithuania without the need maybe that they cannot travel to meet in Hungary, something like that. But I think hybrid is probably the way ahead. So we are thinking already for the next events, probably next year, to have an hybrid version of it. Where? No idea, but yeah.
Sure. Nice. A couple of questions have come in the chat. The first one is from Francisco Horta. Can you comment on how those estimates for the number of jobs in quantum has been obtained?
Sure. That was not easy at all, Francisco. That's the first thing to tell you, because if we think about what are the numbers for the evolution of the job market in quantum technologies in general, you can find anything. You can find from 3 billion to 300 billion. So the margin of magnitudes it was really, really hard. So what we tried to do was trying to assess news and some research that people have been doing already in terms of the job market for quantum in some specific regions, and extrapolate to the global job market. So that's how we did it. So we got some information on some regions, and then since we have the overview of what is happening everywhere around the world, so trying to extrapolate that. And and we actually, as I mentioned, we checked again this year with how everything has evolved in the last couple of years, and we are not so far. So yeah, let's see how it's changing, because it's really evolving. But so far, I think we are more or less in what we estimated.
Okay, nice. And I guess the big inflection point you said where it really takes off is going to be dependent on the technology itself. When the technology becomes pervasive and more common, that's when things really change.
Correct. And when that will be, the big question. Nobody knows.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. And another question. How do you approach quantum as a would-be manager rather than from the tech angle?
John, I don't know if I understand the question, because it could be that you are already, like, you're coming from business, or you are already at a manager level and you're looking for a job, or you are not, you are from tech, you are coming from academia and you are looking for a manager position. So that's different. What I can tell you is that 3 years ago, most of the positions were really, really technical. And then there has been a shift from both sides, from people with business background or much more experience looking for jobs in quantum. Whether they can find a job or not right now, that's another question. But also at the same time, some companies that start to look for both people coming from technical background that are willing to not work in a technical role anymore, sales or business development or marketing, or also for people that are not necessarily from a quantum background but have had that experience. Because ideally, what all companies want is someone that has a PhD in quantum and that has also a business background and has also experience in something specific for at least 3 years. How many people can you count with that? Probably 10. So it's very, very hard. That's why I think they're starting to say in some cases, what I always do is, if you have two people, one very technical with a little bit of business and another one with business, a little bit of technical, for that specific role, what do you want? And then they start thinking. And then when we have these two candidates, they say, yeah, I prefer these. But it's really hard, even from the company sometimes, to understand exactly if in between those candidates, what would be the one that they want. I hope that I answered, John.
Yeah, and I guess just to cover all angles, I mean, if you're a non-quantum company looking to take those first steps in quantum, I guess the first hire you want to make is someone with a rather broad quantum background to help guide your company a little bit.
That's also another point. When there is an end user or a company that is new to quantum and they want to embed quantum within the company, I would rather say that the first thing that they should do is not hiring someone, which is, I'm doing recruitment and resourcing, but really, you need to think in the long term. The best thing that they could do is think about educating what they already have within their company. Is that training component? Who within the company or what department should be the people that they should be retrained? Then they should work on embedding quantum, and then when they are ready, then they can expand that and start hiring people. Some other companies, they have decided to hire someone that is a specialist and start already immersed in quantum. I think that's probably that's why we offer this business intelligence. We try to understand with the company itself whether the strategy makes sense to hire it right away or thinking more about education and strategy in the long term.
Yeah, that's almost a perfect segue into our next speaker. So, Araceli, thank you very much. We'll come back to you in the discussion period. So, our next speaker is Grazia Bastasin. Grazia joined us last month as a panelist, and we knew she had so much to tell us. We invited her back this time to tell us more. She's a program manager at QTech and QTech Academy, as well as being a content manager for the newly launched Quantum for Business. And I think that's where the perfect segue into what Araceli just said brings us to now. So Grazia, thank you very much for joining us. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dan. Yes, now I see my presentation. So hi, everyone. First of all, thank you for being here, and thank you, Dan and Julia, for inviting me. So it's very exciting for me to present Quantum for Business. We have launched Quantum for Business the 23rd of March, so fairly easy, not easy, but fairly recently. And I've been in the process of creating it and also launching it. So now it's the most exciting moment. So let's start from what is Quantum for Business, right? So it's a joint initiative, a non-profit initiative founded by QTech, TNO, and Kronos Group. Now, many of you might already know the three institutions, but I would like to just give you a short introduction for the ones of you that might be new to that. So, well, first of all, QTech, Mission-Driven Research Institute for Quantum Computing and Quantum Internet, that was founded in 2014 by TU Delft and TNO. Then we have TNO, the National Organization for Applied Scientific Research, connecting people and knowledge to create innovation for industry and society. And then Kronos Group, it's a group of 200 companies. And this group wants to be a catalyst in the translating research of new technologies into business solutions. So really the full spectrum there. And this initiative is also supported by Quantum Delta and InnovationQuarter. So Quantum for Business provides a platform for businesses, front-runner businesses, innovative businesses that want to leverage quantum. And what we do through this platform is liberating the academic knowledge that is already there and bridging it, communicating it to the businesses. So in our core, there is the preparation of businesses, and the ultimate mission is to raise the adoption of quantum technology in the market. To do that, we want to first inspire businesses, educate them, but also connect them all together and give them the opportunity and facilitate their engagement with other companies for use cases and further collaborations. And we do that through a set of events and courses that I will also mention later. But basically, everything puts us in a very nice position because we are uniquely positioned central platform in quantum technology in Europe for that. And to provide this value to businesses, we have a set of membership program with the goal of guiding businesses in their quantum journey. So we know that quantum is a very dynamic field. There are many players and also many investment being done, and that will also come. So of course, businesses of all types are interested and want to learn more about quantum and start then investing in it. So this is when Quantum for Business comes into place, right? So to educate the businesses, let them make the next steps, educate them through their journey into quantum maturity until they are able to really invest and leverage quantum for their own business. Of course, quantum maturity, so this journey of quantum maturity can start from different levels, depending on the level of knowledge the company has of quantum. So we divide the companies in three main groups. So there is the first group that is not familiar with quantum, just aware, but really needs to be to raise the awareness there and want to learn more. Then there are the companies that are ready to engage with the potential of quantum technology because they are already a bit familiar, so they already need education more than just awareness and inspired. And then there are the companies that have good knowledge about quantum technology, are committed, they want to find use cases and leverage its potential. So if you look at those three categories, so interested, engaged, and committed members, we have a membership proposition for them. And the three membership types are associate, fellow, and champion memberships. So here you can see it better. So for the businesses that are not familiar, there is a membership with each the associate membership. For the engaged members, we have the fellow membership, and for the committed one, the champion one. And so through them all businesses should be able to go through their quantum journey. What we offer them all is inspiration and connection. It's a big part of Quantum for Business, connecting business to the ecosystem, connecting business through them. We want to also educate the ones that are already ahead in their quantum journey and also engage them in the community and with the right partners, partners in the right sectors also, so that they can found new collaborations and work together for their future. What we offer are roundtables, workshops, live sessions, but also training courses tailored for them that go to touch several sectors. We have community events, of course, conferences, and facilitating. We will also facilitate collaborations. So what is next? Very exciting. We will focus, or better said, continue focusing on the community and ecosystem to nurture it and to have those members at different level of their journey taking value from Quantum for Business, but also among them. We will reach out to partners to invite them to join the platform and so really widen the variety of the members of the Quantum for Business, because as you may have seen before when I was showing the landscape, there are really, maybe I can go back. So what we foreseen is really to have in this community business of different, coming from different backgrounds and sectors and types, because we would like to have, and we already have quantum startups, but also consultancy firms and vendor, software and hardware vendors, for example. And the next, very next step is to launch the first tailor-made course, which we will launch later this year. And yeah, it's really exciting. So I invite all of you, if you're interested, to go to our website, so quantumforbusiness.eu, and you can have a look there. You can register there. If you have questions, well, there is time for that now, but please also, you can reach me to my email, through my email. So thank you very much. And back to you, Dan.
Thanks very much, Grazia. That was great. Yeah, to reinforce Grazia's point, any questions, please put them in the chat function and we will bring them into the discussion here. That was really, really interesting. And I guess it reinforces the need for a new technology to, it's not like the academics' responsibility to educate industry about the technology that's being developed in these knowledge institutes. But it's really good that programs like this exist to help get that knowledge out. And like Araceli said before, it's about educating these businesses and making them aware of what is coming in the future, and therefore creating these kind of opportunities for quantum people in the future to move into these kind of roles. Yeah, any questions, please put them in the chat. I noticed we launched the Quantum for Business recently at the Quantum Business Europe event. I was wondering, because Araceli was also attending at that conference and presenting there. I was wondering whether there was much interest generated from that conference for Quantum for Business.
Yeah, so there was a great success, first great success, I would say. Many people, many companies reached out to be informed for the next steps. So it was I think a great platform where to launch Quantum for Business. So yes, was very positive. However, it will grow in the next month. So for example, there's no a course, for example, on the platform already, but will come. So I do expect there will be more and more.
Yeah.
So really promising.
Nice. Excellent. Well, if we can now bring in Araceli and Sasja to the discussion as well. Please let me introduce Sasja Heijman. She's joining us. She's strategic advisor for the International Talent Program at InnovationQuarter, one of the partners of Quantum for Business. And as well today, we're welcoming Thomas Ansel from the Hague International Centre, here to help us if there's any kind of technical questions about international recruitment. Sasja, I'll come to you first. Perhaps you can give us a quick introduction about what the International Talent Program does and what it's all about.
Yes, for sure. Thanks, Dan. And so I work for InnovationQuarter, and InnovationQuarter is the regional economic development agency of the greater Rotterdam, The Hague region. I know that's quite a mouthful, but it's the region that we're located in, that Delft is part of. We're a governmental agency, and we started this year an initiative to launch a program focused on attracting and retaining international talent for our region, specifically focusing on sectors like high-tech, digital technology, life sciences and health, maritime and port, and cybersecurity. So really more the tech-related industries, and also the STEM profiles that we're looking at. So science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. It's quite fun because it feels a little bit like we are a startup ourselves to do this from a governmental level. You see this already happening in quite some European countries. Of course, we as a region also feel that need for specific talent to attract them. The businesses are in great need also of information around attracting talents. And also we already have quite a big talent pool in the region, and it's important to make sure that they also want to stay here in the long run. So that's what we're working on with many partners in the region. Thomas is one of my colleagues, I would say, in that sense, in this program from the Hague International Centre that also covers Delft. And maybe, Thomas, you can tell a little bit more about how we work together.
Well, thank you, Sasja. So the Hague International Centre is the point of contact for people and companies in the greater The Hague area, including Delft, Rijswijk, Leiden, Voorburg, and some other areas along the coast of the North Sea. We work together on retaining talent because it's very important for all of Zuid-Holland to have as much international talent as there can be. So we provide settling in information, events so that people can build their networks, and we provide support for wonderful projects like the regional talent platform that Sasja is leading on.
Great, thanks, Thomas. And Sasja, how do companies benefit from this program?
Yeah, so I think companies can benefit in different ways. I think, first of all, I think especially from quantum, with such a specific industry and specific technology, you have such a strong community already. It's great to hear. It's amazing to hear the initiatives, both from the other ladies, of things that are already happening specifically, in your field. But me as a non-quantum expert, definitely not. I would consider myself quantum aware, and that's about it. I feel that that companies also in the quantum technology can benefit from a strong regional positioning, also from a strong national positioning. Let's be honest. We are, as the Netherlands, we are a small country, so we need a strong position of the Netherlands as a whole to attract international talent, but also for the region, it's important to make sure we have a strong positioning, that it's known which sectors and which technologies are thriving here, and that talents can really build their career here, so that they might start with coming for a job, but that they know that they can stay for a career. And particularly, I think in the tight-knit quantum community, that could be an important factor.
Yeah, for sure. And I'd reinforce that by saying when we were planning our mission to Chicago to recruit, Sasja and Thomas's colleague Kureka joined our companies in a meeting to really help explain what it is that the international program and the Hague International Centre can actually offer them as recruiters, and that really helped the whole ecosystem really get confidence in understanding what the proposition is that we have to sell as an ecosystem into it in attracting international talent of varying levels and backgrounds. So it's really really valuable, and I thank you again for helping.
Yeah, you're welcome, Dan. And I think especially what you mentioned, of course, attracting and retaining talent is great, and is something that we also, from a government perspective, must do. But informing employers and assisting the employers in the region might be the most important part of this program, to join your communities, to see how we, from Thomas and my perspective, can serve them with questions around that can be questions around visa and other migration routes, relocation, etc. That's why we're here for. And maybe Thomas, you want to add something on that part.
Well, we're here to support both companies and the people that are employed by them. So whether that's questions about visas and recruitment, or whether that's more kind of day-to-day stuff about getting your kids into a good school and finding housing, we're the one place where you can get all of that information, which we think is a big advantage, because you only have to ring one number or send one email to get all of your questions answered.
Nice.
Really like a one-stop shop.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe then something that I wanted to point out that I found interesting also in Araceli's presentation, talking about the really specific experts in quantum that you want to attract, but also those business people that you also need in order to, grow your sector, right? So the more business-oriented people, I was thinking maybe also, like the marketing people who can explain to people like me who don't know anything about quantum what it actually is, in, like common people language, to put it like that. Those business developers that might not have a background in quantum or education in quantum, but are interested in the industry and can learn and can talk to those people that are not yet familiar or experts in the industry. And I think that's the latter is really also a point that we can focus on more from a regional level to bring those talents with maybe a bit of a broader business background that not immediately already fall under your community, but that are needed to grow.
Yeah, for sure. I think Araceli hit the point in her talk, and you see that it's very tricky for startups who are very technology focused and maybe all coming out of the same labs with the same kind of backgrounds you need that diversity in skill sets for a business to really grow and thrive, and that can be obviously quite a challenge early days for a small startup company. Araceli, coming to you, because you have maybe the most international view of the industry at the moment. I'm curious what initiatives you see occurring throughout the world that could actually be, maybe some of the better examples, because obviously you're part of the Quick European-wide industry consortium, but you mentioned your work in South America and places like that. Is there anything else we can be doing in the Netherlands, in Europe, that you see is really successfully working elsewhere?
That's a very good point, Dan. In terms of education or workforce or anything?
All of the above.
Okay, so in terms of education, I think in the US, they are focusing a lot on education at the lower levels of primary school, secondary school. So even the government, they created a document about the quantum workforce, and they really focus on education at all levels. The question and the discussions that I have seen over and over again is that actually what we need to do right now? Do we need to focus on educating people in primary schools or not? I think that's a very particular, I would say, voice depending on the nation or the ecosystem. So I want to mention this. I don't know how much of that you are doing in the Netherlands, but that could be something that it could be interesting as well. Then I think what Sasja was mentioning about help with visa relocation and so on. This is a very, very important topic because, again, the quantum talent pool is very scarce. It's very, very small. Companies, they need to be open. The ideal candidate could come from anywhere. So that is going to take time. And the process to onboard that person is going to take time as well. So having this kind of support about what are the visas, what is actually the salary that I can pay that person that is coming from another country, those kind of guidelines or benchmarks are very, very important right now. I'm going to give you an example. There was a company from a country that is not in US and is not in Europe. And these companies said, we try to hire, but people are coming to us asking for salaries that are just, you cannot imagine the number. And it's because they heard that in the US, people pay this. And I have also talked to another companies in the US where they're coming and say, well, we cannot pay that. But people think that that's the salary for a quantum engineer in the US. So we are trying to do things in that direction. I try to provide information, understanding the ecosystem, but I think there's a lot to be done out there. So for you have and I've been working with some of the companies in the Netherlands, you have a very good landscape of startups. You have a lot of offering in what you're doing in general in Quantum Delta. What else can you do to attract people that they see that is actually how can you be competitive with these big numbers? And I think we need that information. We need to show that just a big number is not the only quantum job right now available. So I hope that that's kind of give you some examples of what I have been seeing around.
Yeah, I think we definitely noticed that at the event in Chicago. There is this kind of, thinking that you can't compete with US salaries. But it's not always all about money. It's sometimes about quality of life, number of holidays, security, and things like that. So I think it all depends on the individual and what they're really looking for. But coming to you, Grazia, how do you see within the obviously you're part of the quantum flagship initiative and the educational aspect there? Do you also see, are there drives there to get the early kind of high school education that Araceli was mentioning this being seen in the US? Is that something that Europe are trying to adopt as well?
Yes, my answer would be yes, because in QT, Quantum Technology Education and Training program, so what we are trying to do is to really target all type of audiences. So from general public, schools, and outreach. So also not just high schools, for example, but schools in general, but also universities, all levels of universities, and different background of the students as well. And last but not least, industry, right? So what we believe is that it's important to act at all levels there. So not only university level, although it's very important, not only industry, although it's very important, but as Araceli said, starting from where the next generation of talent is at the moment, it's crucial, because quantum technology needs to be something heard of, like normalized, like something that maybe we don't understand fully. I mean, if you're not experts, but we start familiarizing as very young. And so therefore, when we make a choice on the studies, etc., this just become one of the normal paths. So I do personally believe, I agree with this view, and I also see, for example, in the European project, this is the focus, to act at all levels of audiences.
Yeah, nice. And I think we're seeing that also with the plans for the Action Line 3 and the Quantum Delta program for workforce, where it's not all about universities. Obviously, it's accessing the technical colleges as well, because that's like I said, not everyone will have a quantum PhD to be in the quantum industry. So it's training the future workforce at so many different levels that's important. And Sasja, how do you see the international landscape? Maybe not just in quantum, but in the other areas, high-tech areas that you mentioned. What do you see going on internationally?
So maybe I can. There was one more thing that I wanted to add to your previous question, actually, Dan. About what else can we do and what else should we do? I think speaking for Thomas and myself from a governmental level, we need to make sure that the conditions are here in the region to be able to attract that international talent. Speaking to different companies, they say, well, we're able to attract talent from India, from Pakistan, etc. Really very specialized people, highly educated. But we must also admit that in the Netherlands, in particular, in the western part of the Netherlands, that housing is becoming more and more a problem in the big city, and that is something that we, from a regional and from a local government level, must put on the agendas of the policymakers, etc. It's something that we are already doing, but also a program like we're running now, puts a little bit extra power to that, because it's great if you, as companies, are able to attract that talent, but we also must be able to receive them in the right way. Because what message do you send to people that you receive here, that as a company you're so happy to have them and to join your workforce, but they cannot find a good place to live and to build their life here. You also want them to stay, and those are the conditions that we need to provide.
Yeah, it's really an important factor in retaining talent, and I hear that internationally, like in many of the big cities where these kind of technology companies are based, it's a real challenge. But yeah, do you see anything happening differently in different technologies? Is recruitment there any different? Is there anything we can learn from?
Well, I heard a really interesting, it's not really recruitment, but I would say, talking about onboarding and making people part of your company, part of your community, a part of the society in wherever you are. I heard a very interesting example this morning of a company in a region that dedicates the Friday afternoon of the workforce in the company to more like social projects, like either in personal development or in volunteering in a community or something like that, to give people also a different perspective of working in the Netherlands, working in a particular region, making that connection to businesses and people around them. And they said, on the one hand, you want to do that more from a societal impact perspective, but that it also creates a very more team spirit in the team, also with newcomers and with internationals. Because on Monday, when you get back to work, when you've had that Friday afternoon of doing volunteering work together or focusing on personal development in a training or a course like that, you come back to the office on Monday in a very different way. And especially to build also within some of the companies that good mix of nationals and internationals. I thought that was a very interesting example that I heard talking about onboarding of your professionals.
Nice. So almost like a business cultural mindset about how you want to, keep your people engaged and connecting.
Yeah, nice. and also maybe seeing how as a community, and then maybe particular in Quantum, I'm not sure, but maybe the Araceli and Grazia can say something about that. Whether it would be able to, to form like a talent pool rotating between companies. Of course, you don't want your talent to go working for the competitor, but for example, in life sciences and health, also, of course, a high-tech sector, you see that, for example, in the Leiden area in the Netherlands, where we have the Leiden Bioscience Park, the need for specific talent is so high that they're looking at how companies that are in the same field but not necessarily competing form a talent pool where people can start for the first couple of years in one company and then rotate to the next. And it's creating a joint talent pool that they're still figuring out, because of course it's complicated to do that, and everyone wants to keep their talent for longer, but companies can also benefit from having that joint pool. And for internationals, you can then say, well, you might come for a job, but you can really build your career here over the next couple of years.
Nice. Araceli, is it too early to get much data on actual skills retention in this field? Like obviously it's such an early days in the industry. Do you have any thoughts on the retention aspect?
I really love what Sasja mentioned, because I think a couple of years ago I discussed this with some people in some conferences, I think before the pandemic, and it's like, yeah, we need to do that. But the answer, I think, is yes, we are too early, because we are really in the beginning. Most of the startups, they are just they are scientists figuring out business, let's put it this way. So it's really hard if you come now with something that is more for people with more expertise in industry and business, to be honest, and you're coming and it's like, no, I need to build my, I have this funding and I need to build what I'm doing to ask for more money to be able to actually go to market. So I think the answer is yes, we need something like that, but at the same time it's too early. But there are some companies that maybe they are a little bit more mature and we can try to figure out how to do it. Maybe it has to be at the macro level, at European level, which is not going to be easy. But I think it's something very interesting, and we can discuss in the working group at the Quick, for example. Grazia is also part of it. So I think that's a very interesting topic, yeah.
Nice, yeah. I mean, from the Delft ecosystem perspective, something that we do see is kind of QTech PhD graduates leaving Delft to go do a postdoc or something somewhere around the world, and then after a couple of years we see them coming back into the startup companies. So I mean any tech ecosystem really grows up from the talent starting point. That's the most important thing. And then there's obviously a fear of giving away your talent or losing your talent. But I'm very much of the mindset that you don't want talent that's only had experiences of one place, one mindset. It's great to send them out into the world. And then if you have a great location and a great proposition, they'll come back, and they'll come back a better, more skilled person with more experience. So I think it's really important that the different ecosystems and hubs and hotspots of talent help transition people, get people exchanged between those locations, and help raise everyone's talent and experience.
I agree.
Great. We're coming towards the end, so maybe I will come to each of you for maybe a final statement or a call to action in terms of what you see the quantum industry. What's the thing that we need to do in terms of either education and talent or the career side of things? I'm kind of who shall I come to first for the Grazia, how about you?
Yes. So I think the most important thing right now, and I think this also connects to what we were discussing just before, is collaboration. So it's very true that in the academic world, especially the one of quantum, it's very important for students, then PhD and postdoc, etc., to go around and learn new skills, new stuff, and then come back, right? And so in principle would be just normal that this is also important in industry. It's key in industry, especially for such a new technology compared to many others. However, it's difficult to implement, that's true. I would say it's a direction to take, a mission to have. And we should start from collaborating in, maybe smaller parts. I think I've seen, as I was saying last time, I think I've seen very great things coming out from collaborations in this technology. So for me, that would be the call of action. See with whom you can collaborate to learn more, to put skills together. At this point, I think it's key.
So almost, embracing that ethos of Quantum Delta, the Muirless or wall-less ecosystem, no barriers, and just helping people have opportunities and collaborate.
Indeed,
Right.
Yes.
Araceli?
Yeah, I think collaboration is an important one. I'm going to go with awareness from industry who are newcomers to Quantum, as we discussed, and awareness from anyone at any point in their lives that want to go into Quantum, whether they are students looking for PhDs or jobs, or companies looking to hire. Where do I find what? That's what we are trying to do. And I think it's really about knowing who else is providing what you don't provide, or just connecting. So just this awareness, things are out there, just try to figure out where, otherwise just ask, because we are a big family in the Quantum community.
Yeah, it's still a small world at the moment, the Quantum world, so it's easy to connect. Nice. Sasha?
Yeah, I think tapping into what Araceli said, also from a governmental perspective, if you have any questions around hiring people, migration, etc., there are, well, especially in the Netherlands, but I think in general in Europe we're quite good at that. There are resources for that. So don't think as a startup company that you have to do everything by yourself. There's good local support for that, to be able to help you with hiring international talent, to information about all these different aspects that we're gladly want to help you with. So indeed, reach out, and we're there to help.
Make the most of what's available.
For sure.
And Thomas, any last thoughts?
Well, just to add to what Sasha said, I think it is very important for all everybody working in the quantum sector, from entrepreneur through to people that are learning, to realize that the Netherlands is actively trying to make itself as attractive to people to come and work in these sorts of industries as possible. And the Netherlands has a slightly unique way of working, where businesses, government, and people themselves all work together to try and make a as welcoming ecosystem as possible. So there's, just like Sasha said, there's plenty of opportunities for businesses and employees to get help on all manner of things. It's almost always in a language they speak as well, which is very helpful. And I think this is quite unique in certainly Western Europe, that there are so many ways that you can find help in the Netherlands, whether you're a business person, a student, prospective person looking to move to the Netherlands, or already here and setting up your company.
Nice. Excellent. Yeah. Make the most of what's available. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thanks for the questions that have come in for the audience. And next month, we'll be welcoming our Impact Consortium of companies, and we'll hear more about them. But for now, thank you, Grazia, Araceli, Sasha, Thomas, for joining us. And we'll see you again next month. Thanks very much.
Thank you.